Hello everyone, Wawashkonde here, and you're listening to Hani and Home. And today I'll have yet another lazy travel video where I'm just trying to remember what I remember about my trip to the seacoast of Slovenia, the city of Portoroz and Piran. Let's go! First of all, you would like to ask me, why did you decide to go to Slovenia for a vacation at the seaside? And that's a great question. I also sometimes asking myself that, and Slovenia is definitely not the most famous resort you would ever see, especially even in that area. It's not the most famous and obvious one, as most of the people, from what I learned after, would go to Croatia for that. But to have some context to my decision, I think quite some years ago already, I went to Barcelona for a conference in which I participated, and what was quite unusual is it turned out to be international sort of feminist conference, and it turned out to be I was the only guy out of all the people being there, which was a bit weird. But anyhow, so there were groups of women coming from different countries, mainly from Europe, and our group of Ukrainian representatives, we were actually also the youngest. So everybody also needed to do sort of a presentation about their country, so everybody made like slides or video or showed something. So there was a group from Slovenia, and those women, they basically showed a promo video about Slovenia, and that's how I learned that it actually quite a beautiful country with a really nice nature. I think the nature, that's what really caught my attention back then. So there were also those beautiful mountains. They also showed the seaside, and for some reason after this I just remembered, like, their message was that, oh, it's such a nice idea to spend your vacation in the summer in Slovenia. And I just remember that, and I think it was, December 2013, so 7 years ago. And after this, I just keep reminding myself, oh, someday I should go to Slovenia. They also have a sea, should be cool. So actually, when I already came here, at the end of my studies in the Netherlands of my master, I basically did all the courses so that I could start planning my summer vacation while also looking for a first job after graduation. Not the most pleasant experience after all. But I decided to still take it more or less easy. So in the meantime, I was taking interview. I was also planning my trips around Europe. So my destination was Slovenia. And I was like, okay, so it shouldn't be too hard. Like, Slovenia has a really small little bit of the seaside, so I think it's probably, as it's not the most obvious direction where people would actually go, there should be also too many tourists. And it could be fun, always fun to discover all the new countries, all the new cultures, especially when you haven't been there and you haven't heard much besides that one short video back in 4 years at that point of time. So I started to plan my trip. And I think the first problem when I encountered is that even though Slovenia seems to be quite a small country, you actually, in order to get to the seacoast, shouldn't go to Ljubljana or some other bigger city airport, but you should actually go all the way to, not all the way because it's closer, to Italy, to the city, small town of Trieste. So after Trieste, you basically will need to take a bus and get to Portoroz, because there's pretty much no other way to get there. So by all means, you'll need to travel by bus in order to get there, which was still quite fun. Like, I had a really brief visit of Trieste for like a couple of hours while we were collecting other people to gather in, and yeah, it's it was also quite a bit picturesque because the seacoast at that point of the geography of the peninsula, I suppose, of the Gulf. It's Adriatic Gulf, so you are actually have a lot of mountains and hills, and the landscape looks quite great. It's not like something completely flat next to the sea. So that's what I really like about the seaside, and it's really reminded me of the Crimea, which is the place where my family used to go. I think every summer we used to go to Crimea back in the days, so it really resembled me with my childhood memories and stuff. So while we were already going to the Portoroz and we already arrived there, boy oh boy, I never felt like at home anywhere else in Europe before. So Slovenia really reminded me of the Crimea in a lot of aspects. I think even the people, I think we sort of, the Slavic culture and the Slavic mentality and the way people also look and behave is more or less similar to one another. So it really felt like I am in Crimea, but everybody speaking a different language, or people just talking differently. And also, funny, people were talking Russian or Ukrainian back there. It's just almost exactly how it was at home, which was a bit funny. Also, a lot of, I think Germans were coming there on their cars, even though it's, I suppose, not that far for them to travel. So it actually turned out to be quite a touristic destination anyway, and there were quite some people by all means. So in order to describe what you can actually see in Portoroz, I wouldn't need much time. I think one of the big things you can do and you'll be able to see is to go to the casino and do some gambling, while I think it's quite an obvious thing that you do in the spa resorts and stuff. So there is this gorgeous huge hotel, I think Kempinski Palace or something like this it's called now, owned by the huge chain Kempinski. I think the original name is just Palace Hotel, Palace Hotel, something like this. But still, despite the fact that there is not much to do, what else did you expect from a seaside holiday? I suppose there would be, I was again the only person coming into the group, so I was the lone traveler again. So for me, I would like to go to the party. I'm also not really a party person, so I was discovering around surroundings. And the nature is really the distinctive thing of Portoroz, because maybe the sea coast itself is also quite inspiring and looks fine, and the water is quite clean. You can't really get into the water by just walking into it, but you'll need to sort of jump from the pier, sort of say, which was something that I also had a brief experience in Crimea like that, and it just also reminded me of this. So, I will keep on getting that nostalgic feel while being there, which is also nice. There is not much to do and see in Portoroz if you're not going for gambling or just chilling with your family, kids. I think that's what people usually do, and they don't really do anything but just sitting at the beach and chilling. So because I was sort of more of an active tourist, I suppose, I really wanted to see something else, because Portoroz wasn't really filled with any interesting sights. So there is this town, okay, let's call it town, it's a more appropriate word for both Portoroz and Piran, exactly the place where I went, and it's not too far away. I think on foot it's about 6 or 5 kilometers one way, so it's not that far. You probably will need to walk for about an hour in order to get there. And basically that's where, you'll be able to experience this old, still Italian kind of culture, because how it turned out to be, I never thought about it, never knew sort of the history of that specific part of the Europe, or never really thought about it myself. So the whole coastline that Slovenia still has, it was more of a historically part of the Venetian Republic. It was for a long time a part of Italy as well. It was for a long time a part of Austrian-Hungarian Empire, where they were owning pretty much almost anything. So it really has this Italian feeling in the city, which is super atmospheric and vibish. This is not something, from what I understood, you'll be able to experience in other parts of Slovenia, as this part is so extremely Italian. Like the architectural styles, the small towns with those red roofs, white walls, all this kind of Adriatic style that's clearly the cultural thing there. That was all over the place, and that's what, I expected to see something Slovenian different and distinct while also getting this Italian vibe. I kind of like that. And there was also not that many sites in Piran itself, besides maybe the main square, which is called Tertini Square. And there is this old ruins of the walls, so I suppose Piran had a castle back in the days, and there was still just one wall pretty much left in ruins, and you're able to climb it all the way up, and you'll have a beautiful view on the whole town and the Gulf, because the Piran is located in sort of really small peninsula, I suppose we can call it this way, and there is a bit more of the further part of the Gulf where the Koper is, which is the bigger town at the seaside in Slovenia. Feel of like this sort of villagey. There are a lot of cottage houses around. There is like the you basically going up the huge hill in the mountain, and then you have an ability to see a great sight of the hills on the other side, and you also see the Gulf and probably partly the port and the Portoroz, and then on the other side you already seen the Croatia. There's not that anything spectacular in seeing the Croatia on the other side, but you have the ability to see another country from one coast, which is something, right? Yeah. Well, this is my short take on my holiday in Portoroz and Piran. Let me know in the comments what do you guys think about it. I hope that you still like that short and sort of a lazy video that I make, but still, I feel that I have this ability to share something with you while not necessarily initially plan to make a video out of it. So I think we both still enjoy that. Well, thank you very much, and bye.